transition. There we go. So now it's just me. You guys can't. No one can hear anything other than me. So, uh, you know what? I'm not, no. Should I do that? No. This is again professionalism in podcasting. So I will pause and then do my cheesy voice intro, and then we'll go to it. So in three, two, one. Part of the hand cannon net. Nope. See, I told you I was gonna do this. Three, two, one. Part of the Scrumcast family of podcasts hosted on Hand Cannon Live, Hand Cannon Online, streamed on the Moose Machine Network as well as on DeffHeadDice. We are Four New Gamers, an entry-level podcast focusing on the game War Machine and Hordes. Tonight on the line or on the Hangouts, we're not able to count. We're not four today. We're three. Today we've got the return of Phil.
Hey guys.
And we also have returning, but you wouldn't know it because it's part of a lost episode. We have Aaron Aaron. We have Alex joining. It's one of those A-letter names. They're all the same.
Yeah, so, you just call me Aaron.
Like I'm not confused enough as it is.
Yeah, no.
So we have. So thank you for joining us, Alex. It was we had you actually on the last episode. But I've discovered that I don't like editing podcasts anymore, and that's why we're doing this live, so that I can make all the mistakes and not feel bad about it because it's already going on the internet and I can't really make it any better. So that was my plan. So I will go through the same thing we went through last time. So I'll get you to introduce yourself and tell us where you came from in the gaming world and what brought you to War Machine.
Cool. Me right away first?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we know about Phil and me, so we don't know about you.
Okay. Yeah, so I came from 40K into War Machine, and 40K was mostly my cousins played it when I was 12 and they were older than me, so I got models and like slimed them in paint and never played. And then I tried playing for a while right before War Machine, and then it was like this crazy arms race, and I didn't want to spend a crap ton of money at that time on like buying tons of Space Marine drop pods. So I came over to War Machine and got rid of all that stuff, and I kind of been playing it for, I mean technically 4 years now, but it was like big for a year, and then life and came into place, and then I didn't play for 2.5 years, and I've been big into it now, I guess, for the last year.
Excellent. I know you've been around our area for, or at least in our community for a while playing, which is great. So I think one of the questions I always ask is, are you a gamer that paints or a painter that games?
I'm a War Machine player who paints because they can't find time to play, but also loves painting and playing.
So you're
so I'm
right.
Both,
you're
but
right
I
in the
paint
middle.
more than I play. Yeah.
And I think we've all had days like that as well, especially of late with the news of Mk3 coming out. I think the interest, at least right after that was launched, that the people playing it was harder and harder to get games, and people were trying to make sure they had as much of their stuff painted. I think Phil, that's what you've been doing as well, correct?
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna mute myself real quick because I'm happen to be getting a slice of pizza while I'm doing this podcast.
Oh, excellent! Wow, talk about multitasking skills. So we'll ignore you until we finish off that slice. So, Phil, you and I actually went to an event recently. I would know a little bit about this event since I think I had a little bit to do with it. You attended the Battle for Breath, which is the War Machine and Hordes tournament in support of cystic fibrosis. You were there, and I understand that you brought a very interesting list, or two interesting lists actually.
Yeah, I was really happy with both of the lists. When I first made them, I really carefully followed all the food machine rules, like you can't take this rule more than once, and then when we got there, the person who was in charge of the Mark, who was in charge of all the rules, basically said, "Matt, you can take as many times as you want." So I had a list. that's where it all went downhill for everyone. I didn't actually win with this list, which is actually really funny because I'm not that good of a player. But one of them was Vale 1. It was really good at just breaking armor, moving stuff around, with Mulg, which is out of faction character War Beast, an Axer, an Axer, just to make it funnier. 2 Scythians and Typhon. The idea was if you walk into 5 inches range, either Typhon or Mulg can go and make you not anywhere near Veil, and if you hit Veil, then Mulg will keep doing it until you're either dead or Veil dies.
Oh, so protective feet affected your caster as well for Mulg?
Yep,
I
it was
didn't
pretty funny.
realize that. Oh, so that keeps getting
So,
nastier and nastier every time I hear about it.
oh yeah. So the things I bought for that list were the Scythians were all +1 strength. Typhon had +1 rat, so his sprays were just ridiculous. And Mulg I bought +1 speed, but when I got there, I had this whole roll of tickets, nothing to do with it. So I just said, all right, these 300 tickets are going to give Mulg +15 speed, 15 armor. Just because Mark let me do it. So I'm like, all right, well, you know what, if just for fun. And then just a kind of a joke. One of the other players had taken the Harbinger with, was it Temporal Barrier, the one that Haley 1 has, that you can't run or charge in your control area.
Oh.
So imagine a 20-inch. So it didn't affect Mulg because you can walk into combat. But anyway,
oh man,
it was pretty funny, and it basically made people. It forced them to use tickets to cheat in the game against me. So it was kind of good that it all just went into Raffle anyway. It was all a lot of fun. The other list I had though, which I didn't egregiously pay a ridiculous amount of tickets to beef up, was Thagrosh 1 with double War Spears, a Blightbringer, and Max Raptors.
Okay.
And a Max Creelstone with the UA.
Oh, jeez.
It was ridiculous. That list was so much fun because you just couldn't kill things. They're all armor 22. Just it was silly. But actually, that was the only game I won was with that list because everyone else just essentially paid enough tickets to make their models impossible to kill. Except for Tim Mackey, he just is a good player and legitimately just beat me. But it was a lot of fun.
It's a testament when someone can do it just based on skill, not necessarily based on...
It was amazing. I'm like, yep, I didn't think that was going to happen. Damn.
Well, I know you were so excited. It was fun to see what people, the nastiness that people thought they were going to bring or they were coming.
Oh, yeah, and it was great. Like, one of the things that got me was with Vale's rule, Dark Sentinel, if you end your movement within 5 inches of her, one of my war beasts, who's also within 5 of her, can move and do a boosted attack and damage roll against you.
Mm-hmm.
So he moved. He was playing Denegar 3, moved Denegar 3 up, but he did a ride by attack, so he could move up within 5 inches, do whatever he wants, and he hasn't ended his movement yet. Okay. So he hasn't triggered Dark Sentinel. So I'm like, oh, I did not even think of that. That's super interesting. I'll have to remember that for future games. So it was a blast. Like, it was just ridiculous, and the amount of times there's like that. For anyone who hasn't played a food machine game, it's the first tournament like this I've ever gone to. It's hilarious, and you end up like, you want this fire roll to go out. So you're like, okay, I'm re-rolling it and paying a ticket, and then next your opponent pays 2 tickets for you to re-roll that again. You just keep going back and forth until eventually either you run out of tickets or your something dies. It's funny. It was a good time.
And it was interesting because I didn't intend on playing, but I got to play Scorn for the first time ever. Which is interesting. I didn't do it even remote justice, but I got to play because we were uneven. And the the first list I played, I forget. I think wasn't Corey. I forget who it was. Was it John I played? I can't remember. So I recognize his face. I just don't remember his name. He brought the axe. Was it the Convergence? It's been.
Oh, you're playing Dustin.
Dustin, that's it. Thank you. Yeah, Dustin's list.
That list was so gross, too.
And it was so funny because what it honestly reminded me of was someone went to a store and they had just like some of this, some of that, some of this, some of that. He just cleared them out, whatever was on the shelf, and just threw it together on the table because it
was all over the place.
Because it was Menoth, there was Convergence, there was Signar, there was like everything in that list. It was crazy. I mean, I recognize all these models, but I've never seen on the table all at the same time. It was crazy. And everything, all it did was just buff the Colossal. That's all he was doing with it, and it was nasty.
It was ridiculous.
And I told him, I said, "You're gonna kill me at top of 2?" And he goes, "No." Well, wait a minute, maybe I can. So he didn't quite kill me at top of 2. He killed me at top of 3. But I made sure to keep a few transfers on the Scorn character. But it was fun, and it was interesting being on the organizing side, well, I should say that loosely because Mark from Combo Smite, who's also our local PG, he did the majority of the organization of the event, ran all that stuff, and he did a great job with it too. So I really have to thank Mark for all of his help. But overall, the
Um,
event itself did really well. We raised with, in hindsight, doing it on a long weekend, a Canadian long weekend between Mark II and Mark III probably wasn't the best time to do it. But ultimately, we raised $1,450 just that day with the 10 people that showed up. So
That's amazing.
that's fantastic. So I thank everyone who managed to come out and contribute because that's great. And our total after the event, our total was just over $4,000. Now we've still had a few more donations come in, so we're right around $4,300 right now for overall,
nice.
which is great. So, and we're already planning next year. I talked to Tim Banky, who was down. He was kind enough to bring up some tables from Hamilton to make sure we had too many tables, to be honest. But it was, that the didn't know at the time. But he's kindly suggested we use Black Knight Games because they've done, and I didn't know this, they've done we're doing a cystic fibrosis tournament for a number of years, but I guess they didn't have someone who was really the driving force behind it. So
Mm.
we're looking at maybe moving
Yeah.
down there just because I guess it's a little bit more accessible to people into getting into Hamilton if you're coming up from, say, northern New York State, or if you're coming in from Toronto. I guess maybe Cambridge scares people if they're coming from Toronto. Who
Or
knows?
anywhere.
So, or
I was
anywhere,
gonna
true.
say I had gone to one of the cystic fibrosis tournaments that Banky had run. Actually, like I guess it was 3 years ago now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was they had. I remember they had. I don't remember who it was in terms of the relation, but somebody's mom and dad there basically, and they had like made a bunch of like baked treats and stuff, so you could like buy them with your tickets too instead of cheats.
Oh, nice.
So that was a lot of fun. Yeah.
That's
That's
good.
awesome.
Well, my understanding, yeah, the owner of the store either knows someone or someone in the family that has that's dealing with CF. So but yeah, so that's something we're considering for next time, and I think we're going to expand out the raffle piece a little bit because it was very successful. We got a lot of, I mean, we raised almost $2,500 just from the raffle.
Yeah.
But I think we're maybe focus it more the tournament itself be War Machine focused, but maybe broaden the raffle piece and see if we can see what we can do for getting maybe some of the other gaming communities involved as well. And
Right.
make more generalize it as well. And I've got a couple ideas. Like, I mean, the model that Andrew from Schnauzer Face Mini painted was absolutely drop dead gorgeous. Phil, I don't know if you got a chance to look
Nice.
at it, but
Oh yeah, for sure.
it was amazing. So I'm debating. I may be reaching out to some of the people I know and seeing if we can put together because I've seen a few charity organizations. They'll put together like a small army, like a 35-point army or something like that, and put that up as a raffle. Like get a few people coordinated and get some things painted for multiple people into one. Because I mean, if you can get the guys from Chain Attack did something with that with the Cephalix. Now they put theirs up on eBay, but the same idea. You get 3 or 4 or 5 different guys involved with painting some stuff. That's
Mm.
something I'm thinking. So anyone who's interested, how's this for call out? Anyone who's interested in doing something or helping out next year, definitely let me know. Reach out to me either through the Facebook page for Fordu Gamers or through the Battle for Breath page, which will still be up, and we'll start talking about for next year. So, but
If you do
overall, sorry, go ahead.
so if you do that army, you should do a little Gators or Minions army because Minions and they're super legit now in Mark III, right? So,
Of course, and you just want to win them, right? That's the thing. It's just
well, I yeah.
just so everyone's aware, and it was all done through, and I'll have everyone know it was done through a random number generator, so there was no shenanigans. Alex actually won the Menoth box set or the two-player Menoth box set that I donated to the raffles. So, and he gets to have me paint it for him as well. At least the Centaurs. I think you're painting the Jacks themselves, but I'm painting the
Yeah, yeah,
Centaurs
yeah.
for you. And we
I'm
had
so over painting medium base infantry.
Yeah, you've got a few of them. But as a troll player, I wouldn't know remotely what that's like. So, but they're not blue, which I guess is the good thing for me. So, but the other thing,
Well,
a couple other things of note. So I thought in a great ironic twist, Aaron, who donated the Wrathrock, the dice trays, the Scar Bust, he actually won the flat train that was donated by Hidden Forest Gaming. So that was a nice to see that the karma thing worked out for him, where he got what he would put his name in for. And Phil, because you were the well, you were sort of predestined for it because you were the only one who was actually fundraising via the site, because we had a prize for the top amount of fundraise through the site. So when you're engaging other people and getting them to donate to you on the team page, you had raised over $200, which is fantastic. And that made you eligible for the other dice tray. So it was I'm slightly envious that you got to win that. So, but I'm also very happy to see something that Aaron has done stays local, so I get to see it on a regular basis.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet history actually. I really like it.
Yeah,
Seems to roll well.
I love how muted the sound is too, because I've heard some of these dice trays and they're really loud, and this one it's just so nice.
Yeah,
And
if you like really toss it hard against the edges, but the base is really like he put some like padding in there, and it's nice.
yeah.
And they don't bounce around a lot, so it works really well. I really like it.
Yep. And he's actually working on it. He's worked on a few new patterns as well. So if you don't follow him on Facebook, or not on Facebook, on Twitter, or you can see him, and he posts a lot of stuff into some of the Facebook groups. Follow him on Twitter, because he just constantly does neat stuff. And I'm not helping. I was commenting on part of the pre-show is that he was commenting he needed to go to to pick up some new wood for another project. And he said, but he's not allowed to pick up a lot, or he's not supposed to pick up a lot of stuff. And I said, well, you should anyways, because I mean, you're going to use it eventually. You might as well have it in the house. It'll save you gas. You won't have to go back to the store to get more. And so I'm being that little devil on his shoulder, telling him, buy more stuff, buy more stuff.
He
But
just makes such amazing things. Yeah.
oh, it is, and it just
It's
how
crazy.
quickly he pushes or creates the stuff. Like it's like I'm assuming he has a full-time job, but at the same time, it's he has a lot of time. Oh, and just because I'm again professionalism podcasting, if you watch the Moosh Machine guys, they answer the chat and they don't bring references up. I just randomly look at the chat and start saying hi to people. Daryl from Combo Smite's watching. Hello, Daryl. How are you? And uh, was it Arcanini? Says my buddy Alex. So someone Alex is watching. So.
That's the guy I think who I just played a game against. It might be Sawyer. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know his alter ego
Well, if it's
alias.
Sawyer, let us know. If it's not, hello anyway. So.
No, that's why you have a screen name, so no one gets to know who you are, right? I mean, isn't that the point of
No, because everyone knows I
anonymity?
use the same screen name for everything. Everyone knows who I am. It's one of those things. It's either you want to be anonymous or you want everyone to know who you are. So
Yeah.
I apparently go for I want to know everyone to know who I am. So wow, is it 20 after 9 already? And I've just been rambling. Okay, so I think so. The long and the short of it, follow Aaron on Twitter. I'll post a link on the Facebook page. Battle for Breath was a huge success, and thank you to everyone involved. It was nice to see such a positive response to that. I'd like to thank the internet for not hating me during that, for the amount of spamming I did, because I spammed a lot during that process. But so thank you for that. Alex, can you go on mute because you're a little windy?
Oh, sorry, I was just moving between the car and my office. So.
Oh, okay. Um, oh, you've got an office, la-di-da. Sorry. I'm
And my
sorry.
hands are full, so I can't mute, but I'll be in there in 10 seconds.
Okay. Again, we're setting the bar high for the first episode, where we're just to improve after that. So that's that. Again, Battle for Breath was a great success. Thank you to everyone involved. Thank you to all the vendors, and I've sent out emails, and I'm sure I'll send out more to them. But just to thank to all the people that were involved, because we did. If it weren't for the people donating, and the people donating, the vendors donating prizes, we wouldn't have been as successful. So a genuine thank you to all those who were involved. And so on that note, why don't we move into, well, there's too much news to cover. We'd have to do a 2 or 3 hour podcast to cover all the news. And to be honest,
What's new with Warming?
and I'm not even going to do the cliche joke. Has anything happened recently? I don't think so, because that gets a little tiresome after a while. Everything has happened in War Machine. I mean, obviously, we know we're going into Mk3. There was a proverbial crap ton of spoilers released about a week and a half ago now, where PDFs were all up on the internet, and now they're all off the internet. But we're only a couple weeks away. I think, I don't know about everyone else. I've was able to see a few things.
Mhm.
Just quickly, do you think they're the final versions, or do you think they were some of the playtest versions that were available that were being used and will be pleasantly surprised with some of the changes?
I think the ones I saw and then the ones they've then put onto Insiders, they all matched up. So I'm pretty sure they're the real ones. They might not be, but my guess would be they're the ones that they're going to release in the card decks coming up.
I concur with that sentiment.
Interesting. So I'm hoping so, because there's at least one caster where if he manages to survive the way he is for trolls, I know what I'm going to be playing constantly until the first errata. Because if he goes out the way he is right now, he guarantee is going to be errated. For
Never
those,
know.
I don't. You have seen Madrak 2's card, right?
I don't think I have actually.
He has I can't bring it up because I don't want to talk about this, but he has the ability which is called Rathrock's Awakening. So every time he destroys something with a weapon, he gains a focus. His feat basically gives everyone um, his basically he can give himself plus make himself a POW 17 weapon master. On feet, he gets
Okay.
to move another 2 inches or an inch or 2 inches after every time he kills something. So he can basically Pac-Man through a bunch of stuff, have a huge stack of fury, and then either just camp it or start firing off these POW 15 fire AoE 3 fire damages that stay for the next term that do POW 10 damage, or sorry, POW 10 damage if anyone enters it or starts in it. So he can
Interesting.
just lay all these things down. So I don't think he's going to survive the way he is right now. I'd be very surprised. I'd be very happy. People won't be happy with me, but I'd be very happy. But other than that, so that's I'm cautiously optimistic, but I think there's going to be some final changes. I'd be surprised if there wasn't at this point. But we'll see. We've got a couple weeks. The official release is on June 12th, correct?
I think so. That sounds right. I'm not sure offhand, but I think that sounds right. Let's go with that.
Okay, good.
Oh, I can't hear you now, Fraser.
Good, and then it worked
There you go.
exactly like I said, because I said I have to find the mute button so I can clear my throat, and so apparently that did exactly that. So I didn't realize I needed to narrate that, but it worked okay. So,
Sorry.
and oh yes, Adrivan said yep, hello, yep. So that's Daryl. So hi Daryl. I'm sorry, I'm confusing the different people. So getting back to what we were talking about. So Mk3 coming out June 12th. And actually, that's something we should talk about. We are planning because most of us, or some of us, and Alex, you're welcome to join us if you want to. The
Mm-hmm.
four new gamer guys have been playing. Actually, and you've joined us in the past. We also do on this stream, on our DeffHeadDice stream. We also do something called Home Machine, where I invite people into my basement to play on my nice table that our friend Wayne gave us, or gave me to keep until he gets back into the game, which we don't know if that ever will happen. But so I have a nice table, so we play games on it on a regular basis. And one of our plans is to start playing games as soon as the official rules come out. And so the idea is we're going to play a number of battle box games, just right back to back to back. I believe Scotty, Stefan, Phil, I believe you're planning on coming over for part of that day as well. And the
Yeah, for
idea is
sure.
just to hammer through a bunch of these battle box games just to get people a feel for them and see how they're going.
Mm-hmm.
Alex, if you're welcome to, I know your life is a little hectic right now, so I don't know if you're able to, but you're more than welcome to join us. Um,
Sounds great. Just depends on the day.
yeah, exactly. So we plan on streaming those all as much as we can throughout the day. We'll be answering questions. Hopefully, we'll have someone commentating what they're doing. I'm sure we'll be talking about the different rules and what we're doing wrong, and people can tell us what we're doing wrong because they'll be reading the same rules at the same time. And so I
Yep.
think it'll be lots of fun. I think we're going to have and we'll put them all up on YouTube afterwards as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll be able to watch it both on the DeffHeadDice stream and on the Moose Machine Network stream, which we're part of as well. We may have to share the stream with other guys at the same time, depending on who else is feeling ambitious like we are, to be honest. Daryl, I'm talking to you. As I'm sure Mark might be planning some stuff, but so that's our
Oh,
plan. And I think it'll be lots of fun, and that's assuming the battle box rules are available, because they're launching the battle boxes, so we're assuming the rules are going to be available online at the same time. If they are not, then everything I've just said is a lie. You're on.
Lying is
I was waiting
lying
for a
is bad
laugh,
for
and there
good.
was Phil was on mute. Alex, I think it was yes, he was. He was lying. That's true. So so that is that brings us to what I think would be our main topic, which gives us about 20 or 33 minutes to go through. Combo Smite Daryl is planning some things as well, so we'll have to arm wrestle him for the time slots. We'll have to figure out some sort of way, or we could battle box them. Have them come over and we'll do battle box games against them to see who can stream. There we go. We'll do it on our
sweet.
stream, right? Because that just makes more sense because I'm hosting. See what I did there, right? So that's right. So this live thing is just going to mess me up because I'm going to probably think I'm funny and then realize that I'm not afterwards. That's why I never go back and rewatch any of these things or re-listen to them. So battle boxes.
Yep.
They announced all of them with the exception, or they announced them all, and all the major factions got them. Not to take away from some factions, but the minions, mercenaries, and I include Cephalix as part of the mercenaries, as well as the Convergence of Ceres. They did not get new boxes. I guess the idea was that they weren't. I don't know. Did they ever justify why they didn't put them out? I don't recall reading that.
No. It's a good question.
Okay. I mean, they've got the alternate boxes, so they're just using existing
Yeah.
models, and I think that's what they've always done with the. They've always done that with the mercenaries and minions, but I think it was the first time with
Mhm.
the Convergence where they didn't offer a new battle box. So it'll be interesting to see what will happen if the now is the current is do we know if the battle box for the temporary one or the fill-in one if that is the same as the Mark II box?
Well, I doubt it.
Okay. Okay.
Most of them
Interesting.
all went up in points, so I imagine it'll get something else.
Oh, true. Could
Hmm.
be. So basically, we're going to speak to our own boxes, and I've only playing one. Everyone knows me. I only play trolls, so I've looked a lot at the troll box and not a lot at the others. Phil, what do you think you're playing? Are you going to play both your factions? Are you starting something new? Is anything tempting you with the new boxes?
Well, there's a lot of tempting, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Ret just looks really strong in Mark 3 so far, so I'm not sure if I want to. Like, I have a lot of Ret models right now, but I don't really play them, so
Hmm.
it's tempting whether or not I want to. Like, I just picked up a lot of them a while back and just kind of sitting there while I have fun with Legion and Crix. But so I'm not sure if I want to switch, give them a really good show, or just stick with what I know right now. Even though what I know is completely gone since it's a different edition and all the casters have changed quite a bit.
Yeah.
I haven't really decided. I'm honestly still thinking about it. I am really excited about some of the Legion casters after they've been reworked, and and the Crix ones as well. Should be good. Out of the basic battle boxes, though, I think the Crix one's gonna be a lot of fun to play.
Interesting, because I know that a lot of the, and it's funny because it seems to, and I'm not sure if everyone's got the same feeling, but it seems like when Privateer Press announced during their insiders, it seems like they always give you the bad news first, and then sort of gave you a little bit more and more good news as it went along. So everyone seemed to have sort of like the salt was seemed to be coming out. Everyone's saying, "Oh, this is horrible." And then the more you think about, okay, maybe it's not as bad. So I know the Crix one, it seemed to be a lot of people were upset with some of the changes that they made that they announced in the Insider. Were you getting the same feeling, or are you just are you waiting to see?
Honestly, like yeah, with Crix and Legion, they made some big changes to some of the models that everyone took, and I think a lot of people were expecting stuff like that. Like, yes, Bile Thralls aren't as broken as they were before. They were. It was just gross what they could do. Now it's not so bad. They can still do the same thing. It's just not as devastating and not as you don't have one model killing entire units because of a weird positioning or a spell that shoots them off the board really fast. Like, I think they did the right thing. A lot of people were just sad that they don't get their broken toys as much, and or maybe it's just change in general. People don't like, especially when they really had fun playing with some crazy things, and now they don't get they're a bit more toned down. But the thing is, everything got a bit toned down, so
Agreed.
to an extent, I guess. So to me, it feels like they kind of leveled the playing field by just by lowering it a little bit and not making everything so ridiculous. So I'm not sad about any of the changes. Like they slowed down some of the Legion beasts. That's fine. They were really fast for a while. Like that extra inch is crazy. So we'll see how it goes. With pre-measuring, it'll be harder to have enemies accidentally in your threat range than you could before, and you can just launch them off the board. Especially with Veil, with like Leech and Slipstream, like Scythians go really far. Now it's not as crazy, but it's still pretty good.
Well, it's good. And I think it's in the same way. I want to wait and see because there are certain things that Trolls have lost. That I mean, the overall the way that Tough works now, with the fact that it doesn't work when you're knocked down. Since it seemed like Trolls, part of their big thing was to have the Tough, and that's how they survived as long as they did. Having that reworked is different, and having some of the ways to keep Tough or keep models from being knocked down have been removed. Creel Warriors lost it with their standard bearer. So some of the warrior models have changed. So it's again, I'm sort of waiting to see how things land, because I mean we don't know how the fundamental rules are changing, and they haven't really hinted other than just like pre-measuring and some of that. But I don't know how much more that they've tweaked. I'm really kind of curious to see how that affects some of the other things that we've heard so far.
Yeah, just power up. Like every jacket's focus during the control phase. There could be plenty of other things they could have changed, right? So who knows how that works. The thing about the Tough not working when you're knocked down is interesting because there's still a lot of ways of like those things that were annoying to deal with, like pirate boats. They still. I remember when some of the cards were shown, like, oh, I think they still have it. So I think there might still be ways of having steady, tough models.
Yeah.
It's just going to be gross. I'm excited. So I don't know. People still have some of the fun toys, but not many people took that list, which is probably why it didn't get heavily modified. But maybe people will, and then it'll get errated. So like, they're trying. I feel like they're trying their best to make a really balanced game, and I think it shows. I'm excited to try it.
Well, I think they almost have to make sure that the game doesn't discourage anyone new from coming in. And I think that's the approach they took with the battle boxes. They dropped the suggested retail price down by $10. They've given you more because you have tokens in there now as well to cover what you need to be able to play right away. And they give you like the little map, a starter rule book. And I mean, they're giving you more for your dollar, which will make it easier to get new people in. And if everyone's starting from scratch, it's easier for people to get into the game. So I think it's a smart move by them, and I think it helps address some of if you go into, because I mean the game is generally competitive. I see so many more competitive players that want to do tournaments and do that kind of game than the ones that are playing just because it's a fun game for the fluff reason, or just playing it because it's a casual game. It definitely can be that, but I think most people would agree that most of us play competitively because that's the game is really catered to that.
I think also, like, in our group, the people who are competitive players are also still really fun to play against. Like,
oh, absolutely.
I can't think of a person I wouldn't want to play any day of the week. So, and that's kind of awesome.
And that's one of the nice things I find. And Alex, I don't know if you think back to your 40K days, but when I played 40K, when I played competitive players, I mean, I played some nice guys, and there were some great people in the community, but I almost felt there was, for everyone that was competitive, that was nice, there was always the guy that said, yeah, if I had a choice, I wouldn't play them again. And even going back when I used to live on the other side of Toronto, I actually got out of the game because the only people that were around were really super competitive guys who I just didn't like their play style. I didn't like what they did. But I agree with you, Phil. I don't think there's been a single player I've played in War Machine that wouldn't go back and play again. But anyways, I was asking you a question, Alex, and then I answered it for you. So.
Yeah. No, I think the thing too is just like one of the big things I've always been super pro on is playing on the clock, because for me the worst thing is, even if it turns out to be like, oh, I have the perfect kind of gotcha list, it's like, well, it's only going to last an hour and a half while I get my ass handed to me, so to speak. And versus like, you play a huge 40K game and you're like, okay, well, you killed half my army, and I guess I'll just stand here and let you be entertained by my death forever.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So yeah, it's at least the suffering is can be limited by time.
Exactly. And if any, I know with my, as soon as you have start having family commitments and other commitments, knowing that you're going in, okay, the game will not last more than 2 hours. Well, two and a
Yeah.
half because you have to set up and then you have to chat afterwards. So a game will
Hmm.
not last more than 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
That's always a good thing. You can sort of block your time out as well, which is
Yeah.
I find is very helpful. So
Mhm.
my original question to Phil, I'll throw over to you, Alex. What boxes are you playing? Which have any other ones interest you? What are your thoughts on what they released as battle boxes?
So I'm between Menoth and Minions, not because I think they're the best ones, they're because of the models that I own.
Okay.
Versus what am I going to start with in Mark 3. I'm feeling like it's probably going to end up being Menoth because more of it's painted, and I started the Minions more for painting versus necessarily playing right away. So, and I have some very ambitious things that I'm working on with my basing and painting my Minions right now. I think you guys have seen some of the photos, but I'm building a full dock for the Sacrovolts to be rolling around on in the base. So I don't want to rush those just to glue them together to play them. So it's probably going to be Menoth because I want to spend more time painting. But I like what I see so far. I mean, feat of additional die on fire damage rolls can be pretty sweet, especially, I mean, I don't know if there's anybody who can get their attack to be fire type that also has Weapon Master, but a 5 dice charge. I was thinking about this there, like I was looking up like Covenant's stuff, but doesn't give you fire type damage, but a Knight's Exemplar charge, if you can get fire type damage with Malika's feat doing 5 dice on their POW 13 or whatever Weapon Masters would be pretty gross. And now that they have Battle Driven and get the Pathfinder there too, and you kill one of them,
No, is it fire
it's
type damage? So if you have an immunity to fire, that doesn't help at all, right?
yeah, you're kind of hosed. So if you're going into a heavy immune to fire, yeah, you're not in a good spot. But I haven't looked at I don't know how much immunity to fire there is outside of Menoth, other than like Croak Raiders, I think, right, or immune to fire. So and some Legion stuff.
I know
I think the Croaks are immune to corrosion,
Corrosion,
correct.
not fire. Okay.
and then
Yeah.
the Assault Commandos, which are now good. You're going to run into a lot probably, but
Or other Menoth.
Well, I was
Because
thinking
apparently everyone's buying them, right? So.
yeah, as I say, that
Yep.
was the we talked about that in the pre-show that the Chain Attack, which is the podcast for the was it Discount Games and Hobbies? Is that their actual store name? I can never remember. Um, they um, they were talking about their sales and their pre-sales. The number one box that they're selling is Menoth, which is outselling the least selling, which is Scorn by like what 5 to 1, 10 to 1,
I think
something
Oh wow.
ridiculous.
yeah, they said 5 to 1, yeah.
It was a ridiculous number. So I mean, it's interesting because I mean, Manoth is always. I mean, they always seem to have a lot of denial pieces, which I think play well to the game. I mean, I've only started recently actually having a few games against Manoth. I played one at the OTC, and I think I played one game against you, Alex. Was my game against you, Alex? Can't remember if I played against you
No, I don't
for.
think we've played yet.
Haven't
I don't think we've ever played against each other yet.
Oh, okay, maybe
Yeah.
there was someone else who that it's that no, it was Mark. That's right. I played Mark with his Menoth. But I find that at least in our area there wasn't a lot of players, but now it'll be interesting to see if we get more of them coming out. So as long as the book isn't the exact same, which I'm sure it will be, which will annoy me. But actually we shouldn't. We'll talk that once the rules are officially out. But so
Yeah, yeah.
overall, you're going with the Menoth. And what's the Menoth caster's name again? I forget.
Malicus, if I'm
Okay.
pronouncing that
Now, and
correctly.
he was the one who was described sort of like a butcher version of, or a Menoth version of butcher.
So it's funny, I read the fluff article, so I haven't read much of the meta fluff, and I read the thing that was released. I'm like, this guy's a dick. He's like killing Menoth people. He's like, you're not pure enough. Like, heresy. Like, I'm burning down your village. And they're like, but we gave you everything. And it's like, I don't care. It's
Oh
like,
no.
and then like he's setting people on fire. I'm like, do you see the Menoth puring cleansing of fire now? And they're like, yes. And it's like, obviously they're saying yes because he's setting them on fire. Like,
Wow.
yeah, he's a dick.
Oh, that's funny. And you know what? Part of it, and it's kind of embarrassing to admit, but I often will pick a faction based on whether I considered it evil or not. So when I played
Hmm.
40K, I played orcs because they were just Scottish drunk guys, which made me laugh. And I played Eldar just because I thought that although they weren't very nice, they were never really truly evil. They weren't like the chaos
Hmm.
or some of the nasty guys. And same with trolls. The trolls are just tired of getting people pushing them around, so that's why they went. That's a part of the reason I went with the trolls. It was either trolls or Signar. So I seem to go for the goody two shoe factions as opposed to the hey, I'm you must burn with fire, or hey, the cricks, we like the undead stuff.
I always get drawn to the religious zealots apparently because I played Black Templars in 40K before I came over and played Menoth.
That's
So
funny. A friend of mine was doing the same thing. He played Black Templar and was debating on Menoth. So maybe it's
yeah.
saying a little bit about you. So
Yeah, I think I mostly play evil factions. I think about it. Like in 40K, started playing with Dark Eldar.
Hmm.
Um, I did a bit of Blood Angels, which is kind of borderline, and then some Imperial Guard. And then in Fantasy, it was Dark Elves and Vampire Counts. Yeah, pretty
Hmm.
much almost exclusively evil stuff. Yeah.
wow, when I played fantasy, I played Wood Elves and Bretonnians. So again, I'm the goody two shoe guy. I'm just looking up here at my boxes, and I never consider the orcs evil. They're just more like the comic relief of the universe.
Yeah.
Even though they're brutal. If you watch any of the video game stuff, they're just nasty, nasty guys. But I
Yeah.
just think of the old like the bad Scottish accent as they're screaming down the hill at you. So. But okay, so and you said so none of the new boxes for you, Alex, out of the because you said you were looking at the ones you already had, so Gators and the Menoth. So none of the other new none of the rules are enticing you to anything else at this point.
Um, they might, but I'm limiting myself because I can neither afford nor spare the time to accrue another faction.
True,
So
Nice.
true.
yeah.
That's a good call. For me, I've got well, the old points, I had like almost 400 points of trolls, so I'm not changing anything from trolls anytime soon. I've got multiple units I've never played. Like I've never actually put the Fen Blades on the table before, and
Oh, they're good.
they've gotten really good right now. So I'm very excited to get some of those guys out and try some stuff I hadn't done before. I will be picking up both. Oh, I'm picking up the Khador box for my son because my son's been playing Khador for the last year, and he's excited to get back into the game and sort of be on an even footing with everyone else.
Hmm.
We'll see how that because he's got we just picked up the Iron Fang Pikeman from a couple months ago, so he's happy that the new caster is a Iron Fang Pikeman caster. I do have Signar, which my other son plays on when he gets around to playing, but I'm not rushing out to get that one yet. But from what we're hearing, Signar is well, it seems like every faction has a caster which they sort of tweaked a little bit to make a little bit better and or make them playable where there are certain casters you just wouldn't see being played, and now you're going to see them more and more often.
Yeah, it seems like they've taken a lot of like the casters that no one played, and they made them either more interesting or maybe slightly more powerful or just more fun to play. So far, that's what it seems when I was reading through one of the ones that were shown on the insiders and stuff like
Yep.
that.
Well, my biggest thing for me is, and I'm sure people will hate me for this, but one of the best things I read out of the Insider for Trolls was that they made one change to Calandra. Now, as everyone remembers, everyone hates Calandra because of Starcross, which forces you to roll three dice and then take away the highest when you're doing any
Yeah.
kind
Now
of attack.
Snapshot has it.
Yeah, yes,
Yep.
but Calandra, the only thing that
Now everyone
changed.
has it.
See, I don't mind because I know my Starcrossed is better than your Starcrossed. So she also went up one Fury, so she's an 8 Fury
Right.
Oh,
caster now.
sweet.
So a 16-inch Starcross range.
Yeah,
And
that's
the only thing we
ridiculous.
lost is they took salt off of her weapon, so her melee weapon doesn't get boosted damage rolls anymore. And quite frankly, if Calandra's in melee with you, or you've got Calandra in melee, you're in trouble. You should never have Calandra that close. So I'm very excited because to me, the fact that they changed one of my favorite casters, because I mean, I have to admit, I jumped on the bandwagon. I was playing a lot of EE, mostly because I picked it up used at about a fraction of the price that I would have if I had to buy it new. And I even played it after the nerf in January, so I was playing it with the Mountain King and
Yeah.
enjoying that. So I love a Calandra. I know her forwards and backwards, and having a caster that's pretty much identical to what I played originally, being able to be there from the beginning of Mk3 is really helpful. So I may wind up sticking with her a little bit more. I want to try some of the other casters, but I think for the first, at least for my first few games, I think Calandra is going to be one of my first go-to because it reduces the learning curve on the game overall. I don't know, Phil,
Hmm.
is there any of the casters in your faction in either Legion and Crix that are close that that is close to that they've identified on the insiders?
Um, well, they've given like Venthrax has the best spell that Morton Ebra used to have, Terminal Velocity,
Okay.
which is just a gross. You get +2 inches when you're charging living things, boosted attack rolls against living models, and you can charge free. So if let's say you Ripjaws, I think they have armor piercing, but I don't think it's start action anymore. So it's like a crit armor piercing. Someone was saying so. You get to charge in there with 4 crit armor boosted attack rolls on a boar beast,
Wow.
fish for crits, and like it goes something good. And it's like on a 6-point jack, just wasted a heavy. It should be fun. We'll see how that goes. Who knows what they're gonna when they release them, what the actual cards look like. But I'm super excited.
Okay. And are you going to go with, and maybe going back to the battle box for the faction you start with? Are you going to try? I mean, we're all doing a journeyman league, which we're assuming
Yep.
the rules will be fairly close to what they were before. Are you going to be doing Are you going to be running the? I guess you almost have to because they haven't given us the alternatives yet. But I'm assuming you're going to be running the Legion one at this point. Is that your plan?
I don't know. Like I keep looking at the cards for the Legion, the new Legion caster, Krissa, and it seems pretty awesome. Her battle box just seemed like, to me, it seems a bit weak. Like she's got 1 heavy that only has 3 fury, and a light and 2 lessers. I'm like, the lessers have flank. I don't know. It could be good. We'll see. But her feat is pretty nasty. +3 strength and continuous fire on melee weapons.
Mm-hmm.
She has some pretty awesome spells. So I don't know. It's tough to decide right now. The Crix one just looks ridiculously fun. 2 heavies. One of them is a Reaper, so it has a harpoon.
Oh, so you can do drag.
You can drag in a heavy, and her feat is everything gets ghost affected by Ghost Walk, so you get ghostly, and you can also when Warjacks in her battle group end their activation in her control range, they get to basically cast one of her spells for free, which is Vanish. So you get to teleport, place anywhere completely within 3 inches. So you can kind of move up, do some damage, and teleport back, or teleport forward if you want to jam something. She's really fun. She has some interesting kind of abilities. Like she has that spell Vanish. She can charge at something, teleport behind it for backstrike bonuses. Because it doesn't affect, like she'll just, before you do your charge attack, just teleport behind it for +2 mat. So it's pretty interesting. We'll see how that goes. I don't know. They both from all the battle box casters I've seen, they all seem decent, and none of the casters on their own look overpowering compared to the other ones. Some of the battle boxes look really gross. Like the Caterer one, I'm not sure how I'd beat it with the Legion one. I think I just can't. Like they have 2 really armored heavies and a caster who gives it better armor.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be really, really, really hard to deal with the Caterer one with Legion. With Crix might be able to do it. So Parasite and Dark Shroud. So it's doable. It's just harder and more risky.
But it'll be faster, right? So you should be able to pre-measure and stay out of their threat, and then
Yes, like
just
with
get
the
their
Crix one,
caster, right?
yeah, with the Crix one, you're kind of the only way to do it is I'm hoping to feat and drag one of them in with the Reaper, do some damage, vanish backwards, and then the Slayer goes in, kills it, vanishes backwards, and then hopefully not die to the other one, or Kozlov, because he's really good too.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
What about you, Alex? What are your thoughts on the battle box?
I mean, I think it's pretty legit. I've always wanted to play Castigators, so the point cost is pretty nice. I mean, and like to get that all in there in the battle box. I guess I should be talking about cards, and I haven't been really.
It's hard to not talk about them.
Yeah, it's hard to not talk about them because in my mind they're legit.
Yeah, of course.
Mainly just because, so with Malicus's feat getting additional die on the fire damage rolls with that Castigator with having combustion, being able to go up there and then just combust, and I guess you don't acquire in the battle box, so it's whatever the POW, the combustion is probably 12. But having the additional die there can be pretty sweet. Of you just take that damage, and now it's 3 dice POW 12 that you just take. Especially when if you're not camping that focus and that Castigator just gets up there and combusts on you, that's gonna hurt.
Yep.
See, the funniest part about this is, and it's just a throwback for like 4 or 5 years or 3-4 years ago. Andrew from Schnauzer Face Mini did a painting tutorial for the Castigator. Like, it's actually really good. I don't know if you ever watch painting tutorials, Alex, but he did a great job. And I've tried it on one of the jacks and then stripped it because I wanted to do a tutorial myself on it. But he makes these horrible Castinator puns throughout the entire video. So whenever I think of that, I just think of all these different puns that he's saying. Again, of course, I can't remember any of them now that I'm talking about. But I'll throw it up on the Facebook page because it's worth it just to hear because he does these bizarre Photoshop things to make the pun work, which is they're very funny. So I can't hear the name Castigator without just cracking a smile thinking about Andrew from Schnauzer Face Minis and his videos. So, and a secret hint, he's agreed to come onto our podcast and talk to us about painting. So I'm very excited about this. So I have to confirm a time that works well for him, but look for Andrew to be on our podcast at least once in the next little while, and depending on how much he likes us. Sorry, go ahead.
I'd love to join that as well. I'd love to join that and be live and pick his brain.
Oh yeah, well, he used to do a live stream on his own channel for a while through YouTube where he'd answer people's questions, and I always had something for him because I always had a ton of questions for him. But he is one of the nicest guys you could ever meet, and his stuff is so good. Although it's funny, one of the comments I got from when I posted the videos of or posted the pictures of the Earthborn, there's always, every time a photo was posted, there's at least 4 or 5 guys say, "Oh, I wish he'd do more videos. Oh, I wish he'd do more videos," because his stuff is just so good.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's done, I think, like 20 or 30 of them. So it's, I'm assuming eventually there's only so many new things you can teach people on how to do, or there's only so many Space Marine Terminators or dreadnoughts that you could paint up for these tutorials before you just want to shoot yourself with your airbrush.
That's true.
So I wanted to throw this out there to you guys, talking about the battle box casters and stuff. Are you planning playing within the ADR subset at all, or like I'm curious, even within our meta, like our broader meta, like how many tournaments are going to be like that? Because I like the idea, especially in all new cards only rules, of playing in a limited caster format from just being able to understand what's going on, right? I don't know if you guys had looked at that and thought about that in the context of, I love my battle box, but what other, because I think all the battle box casters are in ADR.
True.
Yes, yeah.
So
anything released in that time period would be automatically included.
Yes.
Right. I think they changed it in the sense that it's automatically included when something's released at the event, like at Lock and Load. But if it's not on ADR, then it doesn't. After that, it's not there. So like if they released a new scoring caster that's not currently on the season 4 ADR at Lock and Load, it would be on ADR for Lock and Load, but then not subsequently. It used to be like that, but they changed it. So
really? I wasn't aware that was a change.
Yeah, so that some people didn't have 5 and others had 4.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I mean, I think, to your point, I never really gave it much thought, but yeah, because it's a new system, limiting yourself to a set of casters to make sure you're focusing on those rather than trying to learn, in the case of Trolls, try to learn 15 casters all at the same time, or just sticking to it gives you a little bit of freedom that way. So, to be honest, so go ahead.
Well, the other thing that I liked about it too is, even for playing casual games at home, is saying like, hey, like for Home Machine or whatever, like, yeah, we're playing ADR. Right.
Yep.
And at least it doesn't. You could play ADR where it's like, if you play the ADR caster, you can have the sideboard or whatever it's called and swap out, right? And because it's also a nice thing to do too when it's early on, where it's like, well, I don't really know how to like tune this list, especially against like all these other things. But it's like, okay, well, there's a subset of casters, and maybe I'll throw this extra unit of infantry or this other jack on my sideboard, and then I'm like, oh, I'm like playing this, and like, oh, the stuff I have is not great, so I can swap some stuff in. It just kind of, I feel like it would be a lot of fun. I would definitely want to play as much ADR as possible from having flexibility in my list in real time, and then also playing in a subset of casters just to actually know what's going on.
To be honest,
No, that's
sorry, go ahead, Phil.
I was saying that's the best. Like you, not only do you only have to think about two of the four casters in your faction, if you want to look ahead and look at everyone else's casters, you know what to expect. If you're going to an event where that enforces ADR, not just rewards you with the specialist, but you have to do it, that'd be amazing. You're like, okay, well, I don't have to worry about learning all the potential scorn matchups or whatever. Like I can just look at the four, and be like, okay, these four, let's see what, I don't know what they'll take, but I can know what they're going to do, and I won't have to ask, what does that do? What does that do?
Yeah.
Time, right?
Especially for like things like, I mean, Korea, like there's purification in it right now, but like I think it could be like, oh, is there any purification at all in ADR? And it could be like, no, and like, oh, sweet. That changes how I want to play stuff, right? So,
well, I mean, the sideboard helps too, because if you can build to bring in some of the solos or some of the mercenaries or minions that cater towards either hordes or war machines, so you can make sure you've got the right pieces in that you need to drop in the case. Because there's, to be honest, I rarely look at mercenaries or minions, just because one, I don't have a lot of the models, but two, I always think, well, this is a very key piece that handles a very specific set of scenarios or instances. Why am I bringing this in thinking I might need it? Or if you have the sideboard, it gives you a lot more of that flexibility.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm pro ADR. I want to play as much of it as possible.
To be honest,
I hope tournaments in.
If anything, I think it's a good way to approach it and a good learning tool. I mean, I'd be more than happy to play ADR against anyone who wants to. We can do that as home machine, just run them as ADR games for the first little while as long as everyone agrees on it. I just have to figure out. I just have to figure out if Calandra's on ADR or not, because if she's not, it may be a harder sell for myself.
I can tell you, she is not.
I got it up here. Yeah, she's not.
So who's the troll casters on ADR this time?
Gristle, Bloodsong.
Okay. Go ahead, Phil.
Gristle, Bloodsong, Doomy3, Shaman of the Gnarls. That's Doomy3, right?
Yep.
Sweet, so he's still on there. Ironhide.
Shaman of the Gnarls is Doomy1. Doomy3.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's
Doomy1.
Is Dire Prophet.
Oh, it's all ones.
Okay.
That's right, yeah. I'm pretty sure that must be Gristle 1, Doomy 1, Madrak 1, Thornwood Chieftain. He's 1.
Thornwood Chieftain.
I don't remember.
Thornwood Chieftain is for Madrak.
Yeah.
Yeah, because World
probably
Ender
is the theme of this ADR is back to basics. So it's all the
Okay, that makes
V1
sense.
of the casters and stuff is what they're trying to do.
Who's the fourth one?
Oh,
the new Battle Box Ragnar.
Yeah.
Oh, so they've actually put Ragnar in there. Okay.
Yep.
I could play. I mean, Doomy 1 apparently is still, well, from what we've been told, or unofficially been told, Doomy 1's still supposed to be pretty good. But no, I think it's an interesting approach, and I think we can take that. And if anything, on the if we're doing streaming games, that helps people sort of understand it, because I don't think you see that piece of it very often when you see the games being streamed and being able to talk about it after.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I didn't even really understand ADR, know it was a thing for like 6 or 8 months because I wasn't paying attention. And like in terms of people playing casually in other tournaments, like I think it's cool to. I mean, for all the reasons we just talked about, I think it's can be a fun format at times, right? Not forever, but and then especially for new people getting into the game, just being like, hey, like get into the game either with these group of people or like with you and your friend at home, and just play the ADR, because it's just like you're slow growing anyway. It's just slow, like grow slowly together and grow slowly within this caster subset, and then obviously models. And then, ADR changes every 6 months or something like that. Yeah. So by the time you've kind of played for 6 months, and if I play one game a week, that's only 12 games within a limit of 4 casters. So you'd be like 3 games a caster, even if you wanted to play, every single one. And that's not that much repetition, and then you can just change, right? So.
Yep, and I agree. I think it's a fantastic idea. And the 6 months starts as of lock and load. Is that when that 6 month window starts?
Yeah, yeah, and I think my math is wrong. It's 6 months, so not 12 games, 24, right? So
Okay.
4 games.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's late.
yeah,
I was
whatever.
going to call it.
How many weeks are in 6 months? So times number of games, right? So
Enough. There's enough weeks in 6 months.
yeah.
So, and we're getting close. I just realized it was getting close, and we wanted to keep this close to an hour. So, for the troll battle box for myself, your comment, Phil, about only having one heavy and then a light. Well, we don't even get a heavy in the trolls, and that's been a concern from day one for most of. We get an axer, an impaler, and a bouncer. Now the bouncer's good. They've made some improvements. Even the impaler's got some changes. The biggest drawback on the impaler though is the Far Strike Animus
Yep.
is no longer, you can no longer hand it out. It's only for it's only self, so only Ragnar or the Impaler can use it. So it's a bit of a nerf that way for the trolls. The bouncer is good. It has some interesting stuff, but it's interesting if you look at Ragnar's feet. Um,
Hmm.
and again, depending on did they spoil? I don't forget if they spoiled Doomy 3's feet or not. I can't remember if that was an official
Yep.
release or not, but
I'm not sure.
we're
I
going
don't
to
know.
assume that people know that Doomy 3's feet got changed slightly. A piece of it got removed, and hey, lo and behold, we found it. It's on Ragnar. I keep wanting to call it Rathrock. I've been playing Rathrock for like the last 3 months. So Ragnar gets it, where his feet, as enemy models make a damage roll against friendly faction models in say Ragnar's controller range, the model rolls one less die, and it's called Stone Fortitude. So it's a good time locker. It lets them let you throw your beast up close and be able to potentially take less damage. It's nice that it's faction because under Doomy 3's feed it was your battle group, but this is the actual faction. So
Ooh, like it's not just battle. Oh, that's amazing.
yeah, so it gives you a little bit, which is good. Will help with that.
That's so good.
It's nice that he's got Hex Blast, so that'll help take out any enemy upkeep spells and anime, which is great. So it's another removal. We lost purification, but we've got a few other things. Shockwave is really good. Shockwave is center of 4-inch AoE on the model directly hit. Models in the AoE are become knocked down. So this goes back to how much the tough rule can be sort of worked around by knocking things down ahead of time. So if I can send in a 4-inch pie plate and knock a bunch of the guys down and then go in and if they're toughed, the tough won't work for them anymore. So there's a little bit of interesting. I'm kind of curious to see because he's listed as a Rune Shaper caster. So I'm kind of curious to see what kind of synergies they'll get and whether or not they'll have a theme list or a theme force that allow you to take things like people like take Janessa Stone Tide, take the Rune Shapers as well, and see what kind of if there's any kind of benefits you get from taking all those guys. So, but it's I'm interested to see. I'm a little disappointed that we didn't get a heavy, but I think the trolls have been doing this since Mark 1. They've only ever had lights in their boxes, so it'll be pretty interesting to see. But overall, and we'll end on this thought. The ideas. I mean, we were asked in one of our on the Facebook page, and I can look up who asked it, but they were asking which of the battle boxes did we think was the strongest. And being a troll player and only being a troll player and forever going to be a troll player, the troll box is the best. So that's my answer. What about you? What about you, Alex?
I don't think the Menoth one is the best. So it's not the Menoth one.
Interesting. Okay.
I think it's good, but I don't think it's the best. Yeah.
Okay. Which one? Do you have an idea which one is?
The Super and Revengers. So yeah. So it's not the Menoth one.
Okay. Phil, what about you? Which one do you think is the best?
I like the Crix one a lot, but I feel like the Kador one is just gonna be super hard for most battle boxes to deal with. Like 2 Kador heavies, that's a lot of armor.
Yeah.
They went up to Mat 7.
Yeah, that was impressive. I mean,
They're gonna hit harder and they're gonna be way harder to kill, especially with Kozlov's feet giving them unyielding. That's just another ARM 22 Warjacks are not easy to deal with, right?
No.
So we'll see. Like Crix has some interesting things they can do because of Vanish. You can go behind them and then they don't get unyielding because they're not engaging you. So there's a bunch of interesting things you can do, but I think that's going to be a really big challenge. Hopefully I'll get a bunch of games in against Corey to see what happens, but or Bubba. That'll be interesting.
Yeah. Or Spencer. Spencer, I'm sure will play.
Yeah, for sure. Yes, yeah, absolutely.
So, well, that's good. Well, I think time will tell, and I think as we all understand, is these boxes are designed for the new player to get them in and to get them to build out from this as into their faction. So, they're designed as entry level. They may not be overly competitive long term, but they meet the need of being able to teach the people the game and have fun with the game right away. So, I think that's the way the approach. I mean, if you look back at for the trolls, it's a huge improvement because Madrek 1 with a battle box didn't make a lot of sense because Madrek 1's feat really didn't give you much in battle box games where you're able to sort of Pac-Man through a bunch of stuff. And when you're going up in the first couple weeks against heavies and other lights, you're never getting rid of one of them on your feat turn. So it'll be I'm kind of glad to see a caster with a slightly different approach that supports the beast that they're bringing a little bit better. So I'm happy to see that, but I think time will tell, and I think everyone has their own opinion on this. But I think we all we weren't none of us were, well, other than Phil, who kind of committed. I don't think we really indicated which one is the best. So, which is good. I think whatever one you like is the best. That's the way we should be completely unbiased. So, but okay, well, I think that's brought us to like almost 10 after 10 Eastern Daylight
Sweet.
Time. So this has been a blast, guys. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for whoever's still listening in on the stream. And if you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. If you're listening to this on the through your regular podcast channels, thank you, and be sure to listen to all the other hand cannon online podcasts, including the Troll Blood Scrum, which I'm a co-host on as well. And if you want to watch us live, I think we're trying for Mondays because Monday nights is actually a better night for us. I think Phil, is Monday's night okay for you normally, or is Monday
No, Monday won't work.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe we'll go back to Sunday.
It's
We'll
hard.
go after Menoth John is done. We'll see when we can figure this out. So we'll figure it out. We'll try to get a regular day. At least that's the plan. We'll see how much luck we have. And another thing, I wanted to congratulate Scotty. Wasn't able to join us today because he's working. So one, I'd like to congratulate Scotty for graduating university. So it's been 5 years, and it's good to see him done that. I also like to congratulate him on adulting very well and going and getting a job. Right out of university. The only drawback is that occasionally he has to work evenings like tonight. So we miss you, Scotty, and are looking forward to you trying to make sure we cater to your schedule a little bit better. This was sort of an impromptu decision because we haven't done this for a while. And for those who are still listening after us not doing anything for a few months, thank you. I was a little distracted with Battle for Breath. So on that note, that was all the thank yous I had to say. Anything from you, Alex?
Nothing special. Just thanks for having me, I guess, on the cast. And think of me for when you do the painting one, because I'd love to jump on. I had done a class with Meg in Montreal before she moved to Australia, so I might have something that I can contribute there as well. So.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, absolutely. And Phil, anything from you?
No, I'm just still excited and painting away, trying to finish off all my Legion for Mark 3.
Oh, yeah. See, I'm so far away from that. I'll be happy if I can get a few of my full units painted, but I'm. It's funny because I've got about all the pieces I was playing on a regular basis. They're all painted about 75% of where I want, and then I think, oh, that's enough. I'll come back to them, and then never do. So most of my stuff is. Sorry, go ahead.
And the front of your queue is my incinerators, right? So.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Damn it. Yeah, that's why they're going to get airbrushed. They're just airbrush the one color, we'll wash, then we're done. No. I will do a good job. I take pride in my work for other people, not necessarily as much on my own. So, and on that note, thank you for watching, everyone, and we will do this again very soon.
Sounds good.
Thank